So next series of questions are going to be from Mike Schieffer, the Director of Education and a former teacher. So Mike, as a former educator yourself, what are the teacher benefits from using TCU's financial empowerment that goes through Foolproof?
Well, thanks, JT. The Some of the great things about Foolproof kind of work through the process. It is Foolproof is all turnkey.
Sure.
Turnkey means it's all inclusive. The curriculum can be accessed from the internet. Everything the teacher needs is there. I know as a teacher, I was a teacher prior to the internet and after the internet, and we just spent so much time looking for materials for our classrooms. So the nice thing about it is everything is there for the teacher in Foolproof.
Uh-huh.
It's web driven, and like I said, it's all on the internet. So as a former educator, I never had a student be absent. I never had a student be suspended. I never had a student, not be in class, which is, just a joke on that situation. So the idea is that with this, the teacher can actually assign Foolproof in a lot of different ways as compared to just in the classroom every single day.
Mm-hmm.
We started with peer interaction with Foolproof when we first created it because we realized that students were tired of being talked at. They wanted to be talked to. So the peer interaction in Foolproof, all the videos in Foolproof are 100% in their age group, the middle school, the high school versions of Foolproof, and it really seems to resonate with our students. We talked about 100% aligned to financial standards in Indiana.
Sure.
I'm the one who goes through there, make sure we all align it. It's posted on Foolproof. We also have something on Foolproof when I take you live on it. It'll show when a student completes the module and is successful with the test, it checks off the standard for the teacher so they know it's been met.
Wow.
We also have teaching guides for Foolproof, introductory teaching lessons. We have teaching quick start guides if they can't remember, if they saw me speak or someone from TCU speak and they can't remember exactly how to go about the process of registering students or registering teachers. We have that for them too. And then the intro topics lead into what the teaching that's going to occur in Foolproof. And then, of course, Drew talked about the pre and the post test.
Mm-hmm.
We're a big believer in standard learning objective. We know teachers are being evaluated on that. We want to make sure that these teachers know that what they're teaching is meeting the curriculum that's set by the state.
Sure.
So as we look at the pre and the post test, we integrated the pre-test into the modules, and the post-test will be the module test. So a student and teacher will know, and administrator will know, they can see that hopefully that increase in production and the grade point average to measure the standard learning objective.
Okay.
We also have graded tests by Foolproof. So the way it works is these tests are then designed to be cumulative on the amount of knowledge that we presented in the module, but also they're randomized. So as I go back to, we never have an attendance problem. We never have an issue of students not being in class. We never have students trying to look at each other's computer screen and different things of that effect. So we randomize our test questions and they're self-graded by Foolproof. So when a student completes a test, inside of 10 seconds, the teacher has, the student's test score. And then there's an option to track the student's progress. I use that a lot. And when I was using Foolproof in my classrooms, and I'm going to show that a little bit when we go live. But in the process, what you look at is we tried to look at it from an education point of view. What would make this easiest to put into a classroom for a teacher? And I know as a classroom teacher, there's been other programs that I've used in the past that are very hard to have the students register, very hard to be able to understand, are they are they meeting the standards and the standard learning objective? So the process is that's what we wanted to do for teachers.
Well, now that you've piqued everybody's interest with that great explanation, how do teachers go about registering for financial empowerment?
Well, I'm going to take you live on the site now. We're going to share the screen. So if everybody can just kind of make sure it shows up when I do it. So I have created an account and I've just used the demo site. So I just type in district. They enter their username and password and they sign in, and it will take them to the Foolproof site. When a teacher signs into Foolproof and they come in, this is the page they see. This is the teacher's homepage. This would say the teacher's name and what school they're in. Every update that we have on Foolproof will be sent to this back page. So the curriculum updates will be there. Okay. Any news on Foolproof will be there. There's all these quick links that are there for the teachers as they go through the teaching tips, how to implement Foolproof. This is telling them, the students, if they click on that star in the toolbox, it'll go to an article that is actually assigned to that topic of personal finance, and it reiterates the learning that's done in the Foolproof modules. Okay. And then how do you use the program, or as we go through it? The first thing I want the teacher to do is I want to have them look at the program. So they can click on the components and they're going to take a look. So for instance, if we have a middle school teacher, they would click on middle school and they would go ahead and they would look at all the information that there's for middle school. We have the downloading teachable guide package that we talked about. Great information for teachers to look at. That'll download it. Okay. And then they can check the core message. I, of course, as a teacher, would never let anything in my classroom that I haven't vetted. We always encourage teachers to go take a look at it and see what the core message of our middle school modules are. The teacher has the ability to view the module. They can preview the test. They can download the test and the keys if they want to use the testing that way, as we call it, paper and pencil. And of course, there's a teaching guide that they could click on also. So they could do that for every module to see what's in Foolproof. They can do the same thing in the high school components. The high school components has modules, assignments, and activities. Everything can be done the same way. So they would go ahead and they would check the core message for module 1. They could go ahead and view the module. Teachers could do the modules as they went through it, download the tests and the keys and the teaching guide as they go through. So as teachers look at this, as they go through and they look at the course descriptions and they look at the process of what Foolproof is going to bring into their classrooms, they can always have an idea of what's there. The other thing about Foolproof, as they log in, they, as I call it, are the captain of the ship. They can do this any way that they want. They can incorporate modules in certain ways. They can incorporate assignments in certain ways. And again, I'll go through that process and show how the teachers how to create a class and a curriculum here in a minute. We also have the standards alignment. This button would bring everything to the state of Indiana, and that would show the alignments of all the standards in the state of Indiana, as well as how they align to Foolproof. And then we have curriculums. So there's a way that the teacher can customize a curriculum for their students. And I'm actually going to take you through this process, because if a teacher is teaching, I know back in the day I had 6 preps, and in the 6 preps, I may have had 3 of the classes the same. So instead of creating 3 different curriculums, I can create one curriculum that would be used in all 3 of my personal finance classes. If you're using Foolproof as a supplement in an economics class or family consumer science class, you can actually name this curriculum so it actually can be used in every one of your classes. So you don't have to create 5 or 6 different curriculums. So if you go to the component section, like I talked about, and you go down to the curriculums menu, and of course, your teachers can look at how to create the curriculum and the curriculum overview. That'll go through, and we have a demo curriculum there, but I'm going to create one as we go through it. So you click on create a curriculum, and we're going to name the curriculum. So I want to make sure I click on high school, because I'm creating a high school curriculum, and you have the ability to go ahead and select all the modules and or assignments that you want to use. So for instance, for this one, I am going to do modules only just to save a little time. So I'm going to go check all and check all. And what that is telling the computer program is that I want to use all of the modules in the Foolproof High School. So let's say I have a personal finance. I'm going to call it PF. And again, I'm going to use this for personal finance. And I'm going to use it for the school year, because I may want to change it after a while. And I'm going to say 2018, 2019. And that's going to be my personal finance. Now, I don't want to set that for period 1, period 2, period 3, because I'm going to create my classes that way. So as I go through it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set up my curriculum. Once I'm done, I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I've decided that I'm not going to use any of the assignments or activities in this curriculum that I've created. I go down and I click save. So now you can see that my curriculum is there in my personal finance school year 2018-2019. So it is there for me to now go ahead and create my classes. So you would do the same thing for the middle school. If you want to go ahead to the middle school and you want to create a curriculum, as you go through and you look at the creating of the curriculum, you would name your curriculum, you would check them all, and you would go from there. Okay. Now I'm going to create my classes. So we're going back to school. I've gone to my meeting, my pre-school meeting, and I've gone through it, and my administrator has given me my class schedule. So now I know what I'm teaching for the day. I go to classes, and again, I have all my classes that I've done before, but I'm going to actually now set up a new class. So I'm going to go into the process. I'm going to set up a new class, and I'm going to name the course name. So now this gets a little bit more specific, but we're going to just go PF, and let's say you have it period 1, and it's a half year class, so you're going to say fall 2018. Okay, and then your grade, let's say it's a mix, so you can put 11/12. We've already created a little bit of that for you, and then you can select the curriculum as we go through it. So that's the one I've created. You can now leave your class instruction. And this class instruction will come up every single time the students actually pick a module. Or you can say you must do these modules in a certain order. In most cases, teachers like to do them as we assign them 1 through 18, and that's how the computer program will assign them. So I always type in a nice little message to my students. As you look at the class settings, the Smartboard class, and this is something that our tech team has created, and we love the idea that not everybody has the ability to use, the computer lab. Or when I left my high school, we were a one-to-one school, so everybody had a laptop. You can use FoolProof as an interactive textbook, and it's kind of neat. So if you have some students that have a little bit of an issue with comprehension and you want to use it as a presentation form, you could actually make your Smartboard class or your class a Smartboard class. You would click yes. You would actually use a projector and the modules, and you would teach FoolProof by using our modules. But when the students are done, you get a computer lab, you get a laptop card, you get an iPad card or whatever you can get, and they can take their exams online. So that function of the graded test is still there and all the record keeping. But again, that's just in case you have to do this. Auto reset failed tests. I always click no on this, and here's why. I want to reset a test if a student has failed. If a student has failed a test, I like the ability to go ahead and review the test with the student, go through the process of what they got right and wrong, and then they go ahead and I reset the test as a teacher. Now, some districts would, just let the students take it strictly inclusive, all turnkey, and you can set how many times you can reset the test. On the other hand, you can still click no, and you can put 2, 3, 4, whatever you want in there, the maximum of attempts as you go through, and it can be that way. I also leave it as no for the review of the test, but we give the teachers the option. I like to review it with my students. I click on their name, I bring up their test, and I do, a little one-to-one teaching. But if you're using FoolProof turnkey, using it as a homework assignment or using it as some type of other way that FoolProof is used all over the country, you can click yes, and they can review as they go through it. We also have the ability to go regular account or special education account. Now, I've taught inclusive classes, and I've taught other classes that some students had some special needs when it comes to test modifications and different things. You would not make your entire class a special education class, but you have the ability to do it when you click on the student's name once they're registered, and they get a version of FoolProof that's been written under a special education account. If you have a full class with kids that have test modifications or some special needs, the process is that you can use this, so you don't have to do it individually. Once this is done, you would just hit submit. Once your class is created and you feel good about it, you hit it in the process. So you can see that I've created that class. This class now has all the attributes that I've just set toward it. It has a curriculum that I've created. It has how many tests they can take, the reset of the tests, and everything that I've done. Now, you can edit it anytime you want by clicking the edit button as you go through the year. but most teachers kind of leave it as they go through the process. This number is very important. This C2Y2897 that you see on your screen, that's how your students would register for your class. So in this process, and I'll be very quick with it, and I'll just explain it quickly. Your students would log in the same way your teacher did, as we showed you, and they would click on the login and they would go to student. FoolProof is gonna ask you, is that the code? And that code is going to be typed into the box by the student, and it's going to say, is Mike Sheffer your teacher? And it's going to say, if it is, you click yes. And then the students would register the same way the teacher did, username and password. And your students then would be filed into this class. That's how quick it is. You can register an entire class of FoolProof inside of 2 minutes, because all they got to do is type in the code and use username and password. Now, again, FoolProof has a lot of users. So if you have a Bill Johnson and he put his username as B Johnson, you're going to have a situation where there may be another one. So you'd advise them to put in their middle initial, something to that effect. But it's very user friendly from teachers and students as we go through it. As we look at the demo class in the next series of questions, it talks about, how to edit your class or how to view your class. We created a demo class, so your teachers would have all their classes listed here. So for instance, this is a demo class, and these are the 3 students in the demo class. Now, again, you'd have a lot more than that. We can check their progress, their grades. Now remember, the pre-test and the post-test is now being embedded in the module. So it'll come into their grade section when we created this demo. As I click on it, it'll give you the description of what we have done for the new school year in 18-19. But if you look at the progress of your students, here are your students. You click on the progress bar. These green boxes mean the student has completed the module, okay? And this 99% means is they still have to take that test. The no box in the 8, 9, 10 for Martina shows that she has not started. If you look at Bert is done with FoolProof all the way through it. If you look at Lupta, she is done, but when you click on the box, she now sees this red token. That means that she has, or the half box, she has not passed the test yet. So you can gauge your students. Now, what happens is this 99%, it clicks every single time a student finishes a page. So it goes 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, and all the way to the end. I put my class up on the smartboard or the screen when they're in the room doing FoolProof. So I can see that Martina is increasingly going through the modules the way she's supposed to. It's just a nice way for you to check. Now, the teacher can check even if they're not in class. So let's say you've assigned this as a homework assignment. You can go online, bring up your class, and see what the completion rate is for your students prior to they coming into class. If you look at the grades, you can see all their grades here. You can see these are weighted grades. Martina got 13 out of 16. Some teachers use that as a quiz instead of a test grade, but we do the calculation just in case they want to convert it to 100. You can see that Martina has gone through and she's only taken those first 6 tests. This is the one I was talking about. You can see Lupta has gone through. Bert has completed FoolProof. There is no tests in the modules between 5 and, as you look at 6 and the modules in 7, those are guided practice. That's explained in the teacher guide. But you can see her grade right now is 54. This would have to be retested and or done differently for her to get a full credit in FoolProof, unless you've set it at 2 to 3 passes, and after the 3rd one, the grade stands as it is. These are their final grades in all the modules in FoolProof. So everything is done for the teacher as they go through in the grading process. And in the new program that when your teachers start it in the fall, they will see their their pre-test scores. And of course, this score right here would be their post-test score, and then we would show that the difference in the standing learning objective, is it positive or is it negative. So that's kind of how the teachers register and create their classes and all that. So again, I always tell teachers when I give the presentation, you can't break this thing. Your job is to go play a little bit as they go in and they look at the components, the classes, accounts. But we also have teacher guides for the teachers, the quick start guides for the students, everything they need. And of course, with us with FoolProof, they ask us a question inside of 24 hours, we're going to answer them, because I understand that as a teacher. I'm implementing something in my classroom and I've got it in my lesson plan. And a couple of days ahead, I'm not quite sure exactly how it's going to work. I'm going to need an answer as a teacher. And we really pride ourselves on that. So that's a quick overview of how the teachers can use our program.
That was a great explanation, Mike, and we appreciate it. And thank you for your work with the schools and with the teachers.
Thank you. I appreciate that.